All right, so we are here with Don Schnurr, who is a pioneer franchisee of Rise. So, Don, we talked to you in May of last year, so that was almost a full year ago. I believe you talked to Nate. So, give us the update. What's going on with you? What's going on with your business in the past year?
Okay. Thanks, Samantha, for inviting me on. Always like to do some of these podcasts. It gives an opportunity to get the word out, and sometimes you clarify your thoughts when you talk to industry professionals. So, yes, we opened up our first Rise Southern Biscuit and Chicken in Winter Park. Okay, that was our first location, and it's doing quite well. We're coming on almost 2 years in August, and then we opened up our second location, Rise, downtown Orlando, and that's doing actually better than Winter Park is, which was. I was a little nervous about that location because it doesn't have the daytime drive traffic or the walk traffic that the other location does, but it definitely has the density. And that's what I liked about it when we looked at the demos. And we currently are under construction on Rise number 3, which is in Oviedo, which is about 5 miles from our Winter Park location and about 3.5 miles from University of Central Florida. So what we tried to do is try to do an urban one and a upscale suburban one and a college location because we wanted to have basically proof of concept. And so far, Rise is really the franchise is really holding up to everything I thought it would be.
Amazing. Yeah. And in your last conversation with Nate, I heard that you were trying to test out different markets, different demographics, some more city, some a little bit out of the city. What have you figured out with going through that process, getting some locations under your belt? Have you determined which one might be better?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping that number 3 will be the busiest, and I think it will for a couple of reasons. One is a larger location, so we can produce more food on the line quicker. Secondly, it'll be the first drive-through in the whole Rise Biscuit franchise, so we'll be the pioneer of drive-through, and I think it's a niche that people just either they go through drive-through or they go to the next restaurant. I think it's almost its own category of customer. And another thing that we are doing is we are going to open up in the PM hours, Rise After Dark. There's been 2 Rises that have opened up at night and will be number 3. But we just felt that at a certain point, it just makes sense that if you're open more hours, you're going to do more sales. So between our 2 business models, which is coming into the location, or the Uber Eats or DoorDash is number 2. Number 3 will be PM hours, and number 4 will be drive-through. So we think that between all 4 of those categories, think we could significantly grow the sales on each unit, which will be very interesting for investors at that point.
That's really exciting. Yeah, having a drive-through and opening later, that's very new for the Rise model. I was listening back at your conversation with Nate, and you said that your why was that you wanted to have a job where you didn't need to be there all day. And that part of the reason that you were attracted to Rise was because they were only open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. So tell me a little bit how you're going to work with the new later hours while still sticking to your core reason for joining the franchise.
So I'm obviously the owner and the entrepreneur. I'm not obviously working the hours. I mean, we have good people that are managers, and we'll continue to attract good people for the PM hours as well. We'll have split shifts and so forth. But any entrepreneur will tell you that if the opportunity is great, it kind of pulls you in, and you start to become. You go in with the impression that you're going to only do a couple hours, and then before you know it, you're doing half a day, and before you know it, you're doing a full day, and before you know it, you're doing the whole week. I'm not saying that I'm working a tremendous amount of physical hours, but definitely rises on my main brain all day. So I'm in my office right now in my home, and I am managing Rise pretty much daily from the home office. And I go in on the weekends because there's nothing like talking to customers and leadership for the managers and employees and just seeing things you can't see on a camera or on an Excel spreadsheet. Um, yeah, yeah. So it's exciting. Growth is exciting. Entrepreneurship is exciting. Anybody who's been involved in growing a business understands that the growth is the drug more than anything. It's the journey that's exciting.
Right. As you're growing, it's so important to be able to delegate and have people you trust. How has it been hiring managers? I believe you were training your son-in-law, I believe, too. be a regional manager. So tell me a little bit how that has been going.
Yes, Luke, my son-in-law, is had no restaurant experience, but he was a tremendous individual, high integrity, high work ethic, and I knew Luke would just be great in the position. And he's managing two restaurants now. He managed zero, now he managed one, now he's managing two, and soon he'll be managing three. So he's the regional manager. We have managers at each location, and Luke is the regional manager. They report to him, and Luke, of course, reports to me. Nice little hierarchy, and it works real well for us. And yes, yeah, he's doing a tremendous job.
That's great. Yeah, it's so nice to have a solid sport team, especially when it's family. You can't trust anybody much more than family. And I had such a nice time meeting you a couple months ago at the franchisee conference, and the guys at corporate with Rise are just so nice and so welcoming. So tell me a little bit about your relationship with them on the corporate side and what the support has been like, especially in the early days of operating.
Oh yeah, this is great, and this is an important part of anyone who wants to get involved in any franchise. Is you're only as strong as your corporate team, and I'm really Brian and Ken, who are the franchisors, have been tremendous. They have held my hand every step of the way. And when we first got involved, we went through the discovery day and then the follow up and so forth. And when we got involved, they got involved with site selection, and they got involved with architecture and engineering plans and kitchen design and kitchen ordering of equipment right through grand opening, then ongoing to current day. Able to text them, call them, they pick up the phone. And Rise is in a very unique place right now because we have 25 locations. We're large enough that we're starting to get some scale, and we're small enough that you can still talk to the owners. And when you get to 100 units, I don't think the franchisees will have as an easy touch to the corporate office. And if you're less than 25, if you're smaller, you're not going to get scales of, let's say, purchasing food, and you're not going to have a budget for marketing and social media that can be amateurized between all the restaurants, and you don't have that camaraderie between other franchisees where you could bounce questions off, good, bad, or ugly, and have a solution where you could just pick up the phone or text someone. And that's what was great about the meeting is we got to meet everybody. And now anyone who is just a name on a phone dial now is a person. And obviously you can reach out. I have many that reach out to me, and I'm glad to give any information I have as well. And that sharing of information is, I think, a key component of being a franchisee.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so good, especially when do you have any franchisees close to you in location, or are you on your own island a little bit? Because you're really developing in Florida.
Yeah, I'm on my own island per se. Orlando, I mean Raleigh is everybody is kind of, because Raleigh is one division, and then you have Virginia, and you have Maryland, and you have Nashville, Tennessee, and Memphis, and Dallas, and then you have California, which is really on an island. They're way on the other coast. But yeah, I'm the only one in Florida at this point. But who knows? We'll see. In the next 5 years, I think we're gonna be everywhere. So I think it's a good time to kind of be on the ground floor and see how the menu evolves and see how the locations evolve in terms of graphics and design and kitchen alignment. And what's great is you have data. So the data from one location might be skewed, and then you might sell, let's say, a lot of southern chicken sandwiches in Orlando, but you might do, biscuits and gravy in Nashville, and you might do vegetarian somewhere else. So everybody's kind of presenting their data, and then you could kind of see some trends after a while, which is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on with Rise growing and evolving, they're constantly doing something new, it seems like. Is there anything that's on the horizon that you're particularly excited about? Because I know there are a few menu innovations coming up.
Well, we're always doing limited time offers. Like right now, as we speak, we're bringing out lemon beignets for Easter and spring and so forth. And we brought out cocoa beignets over the holidays and so forth. We're bringing out macaroni and cheese. So part of that is because it kind of fits our model, but also you see other chicken chains, competitors, they might have brought something out that has really clicked. And so we're bringing out mac and cheese, which will be great for afternoon and dinner for our customers. So yeah, we're always bringing out. We had a menu a large menu change about a year ago, and I think I think we're going to be in the paring down mode, honestly, in the future, because we've kind of come to the realization that customization is really, really important. And that's what customers expect. But they also expect speed. And if we're going to be a quick service casual model, people don't want to wait around more than 5 minutes for their food. So we've kind of taken that as a task in all our locations to keep that under 5 minutes, which is almost impossible on the weekends because the crowds are so enormous, which is a great problem to have. But when people are waiting in that lobby and waiting and waiting, waiting, they start to get a little fidgety and they want their food. That's why they came. So we try to bring those times down, and the only way to really do that is to tighten up your menu. So I see the menu tightening up over time in a good way. We'll keep the best sellers, obviously, and things that are okay. They don't sell as many items as we do. Those might go away. But and look at the industry leaders like Chick-fil-A and Raising Cane and all that. They have very, very tight menus. Raising Cane has literally one item, chicken tenders, right? And then they have one sauce, cane sauce. So we have 10 sauces, and we have probably 18 different things to order. And then we have a whole Southern sweets, and we have sides and all that. So the menu is great, and people could customize within each item, different biscuits, different sauces, different toppings. And that's all pro, and it is a little bit of a con for speed. So I want to not lose the customization of our customers because that's what they expect. They expect to have it their way. But I want to, I think, limit some of the items, maybe get it down to 8, 10, 12 as opposed to 18, I think would be a nice number. And then I think we can definitely produce more speed, and that would definitely increase sales.
Yeah, Rise is definitely leaning down. I recently dove into how Rise changed from the donuts to the beignets. So instead of having a whole new product and doing a lot of prep work and storing something that doesn't last very long and takes a lot of prep time, they went and used the dough that they are already using to create a
Correct.
dessert. And I think that really speaks to Rise's commitment to staying lean, staying efficient, and especially with the technology. So tell me a little bit about the in-store technology, the ordering kiosks, the food lockers. How does that impact your operations and the customer journey within your store?
Well, it's we touched on it. Let me elaborate a little more. Is we are a cashless business, and people come in and they order on the kiosk, and the kiosk has every item. And what they do is when they click the item, then they customize. What kind of biscuit do you want? How do you want your egg cooked? Let's say, how do you want your what type of cheese? Do you want bacon? Do you want ham? Do you want sausage? Do you want any other added items? Do you want a second egg and so forth? Any kind of sauces? So people love that. Could you imagine if you were at a line in a fast food restaurant, and someone comes in for the first time and they say, "Oh, what do you have?" And you say, "Oh, we have 4 different types of biscuits." "Oh, really? Which one should I get?" And the conversation starts, and then the 8 people behind them are grumbling. So this makes it easy to customize and to have speed. We have 2 kiosks, and what I love is that everyone loves the food. Why? Not only is it exactly what they came in for, but they bought exactly what they wanted. So if they said, "I wanted a scrambled egg or a runny egg, or I wanted a pimento cheese, or I wanted bacon, or I wanted a cheddar biscuit or a blueberry biscuit," then all of a sudden they open that wrapping and they start eating and they go, "Wow, this is the best sandwich ever." Why? They created it. And I think there's a little bit of magic to that, as opposed to just ordering a number 2, a number 7, a number 11. You actually are customizing your food. The other key thing for our technology, probably 2 more things, is our hot boxes. Get multiple comments every day about how cool this is, that our food stays warm. The hot box, if any of your listeners don't know what it is, kept at 150 degrees. We have 12 hot boxes, and their name is a key on the keypad. And what they'll do is they'll touch the keypad with their name, and the magnet releases, and they can grab their food. So this is for not only our Rise Rewards members, but this is for Uber Eats and DoorDash and Grubhub drivers as well. So in a lot of restaurants that come to the counter, and the DoorDash guy, the Uber Eats guy shoves their phone in your face and they're looking for an order. This way they just go right to the kiosk, they punch the name in, and they grab their order, and it's nice and hot, and they go. So it makes it nice and streamlined, which really has streamlined the business for sure. in a good way. And then the third thing is our Rise Rewards program, which is so key. We got about 10,000 members, and people order on their phone and then they pay through the phone, Apple Pay or so forth. And then they get a text message when the food is ready. They come in and those actual items are in the hot box as well. So this allows, if imagine someone comes in on a Saturday and the place is, 20-minute waits and there's lines out the door. Not for them. They walk right in and they grab their meal right out of the hot box and they grab a table and they're off. So that's been a key component as well. So those three things work really well together. The our AI program allows us to also reach out to our customer base through text, through email, and so forth. And I don't think a lot of chains have really used this, and I think it's a mistake because if they don't come in let's say a month, or without us even doing anything, the AI program will text them and said, "Haven't seen you. Here's a $2 coupon." If they haven't seen him in a while, they'll get an email. If they haven't seen him in a while, or they see him only at breakfast, they'll say, "Hey, have you ever tried lunch?" If you're coming in only on the weekends, "Hey, have you ever tried breakfast during the week?" So, it definitely is a touch-based type of a mechanism, and it allows us to really know their customers because we have their email and we have their cell phone. We could track them. We could track how many times they come in, what percentage of times they've been in a year, what's their average order value, what they buy, and so forth. And that data drives a lot of our decision making, and allows us to, on a micro level, know the customer when they're walking in the door and what they like and what they usually gravitate towards. So key.
Yeah, that's incredible marketing. I mean, to be able to reach out to somebody that comes in for breakfast twice a week saying, "Hey, how about coming on your lunch break? Here's a coupon for this kind of sandwich we think you'd like." That's so powerful. I love that you guys are using that. And with so many people coming in and out and having a high volume store and also very highly customizable options, because like you said, places like Raising Cane's, they know what you're getting. It's not too complicated. But with Rise, you're able to make whatever your heart can come up with. So when you hear that, you think that it's going to be a crazy situation, tons of employees, a crazy kitchen. Is that the case with Rise?
So I think that we're gravitating towards, let's say, a Shake Shack model. And Shake Shack is a quick service casual, high quality, higher price points, and they don't cook the food until you actually order it. Okay. They customize and they're going for high speed. They never were in the drive-through business, but now they're opening drive-through kiosks. So what they've done is they've probably went through the same journey we're going on, which is how to get a more efficiency out of the kitchen, how to streamline, but how to actually give high value, high quality, and high customization. So that's what I see. Five Guys has not gone down that road. They're saying, no, we don't do drive-throughs and that we're going to keep our model. So they're staying that route. And then you have, of course, the fast food giants. They've always been in drive-through and they're testing actually drive-through only models. Chick-fil-A's drive-through only model right now. I think McDonald's, if you look since COVID, McDonald's dining rooms are half empty now, but yet their sales are not down. So people have changed their way of interacting with fast food restaurants, and they're probably testing. They've had the kiosks in the front as well. If you've been at some McDonald's, they're actually on the kiosk type things as well. But you can't really customize their menu, but you can obviously order without talking to a person. So. Um, yeah, so I think that's the way we're going, and I think it's a good trend. I don't want to ever lose the customization. A lot of times when you're talking tech, people tend to get a little negative because they say, like, "You mean I can't talk to a person?" So you have to really have a fine line between it's run by the manager and everybody says hello when you walk in the door, and then they say, here's your order. Thanks for coming in. Do you need any sauces? And you try to interact at all times because that's people need touch. They need high touch as well as high tech. So we try to do that as well.
Yes, I love to hear that Rise is prioritizing both things because you absolutely have that demographic of people that they just want to come in, get their food, don't look up from their phone. And then there's also people that, like, you're a friendly guy. I'm sure when you go somewhere, you want to say hi, you want to talk to somebody. I'm the same way. Both of those groups are so important.
I could tell you that just you're a consumer. Just go into any restaurant, any fast food restaurant, any quick service restaurant, and feel how you feel when you go in and someone greets you warmly, and then say, "Here's your order. If you need anything, let me know. Thanks for coming in." Or go in one where they basically don't even recognize you're in the building, and then they hand you the bag, or your bag is like, thrown on the side there for you to view for pickup. And tell me how you feel at that point. The answer is very clear that people still, with all the technology, they need to be recognized, and they come in for a reason. They want to get some service.
Absolutely. That's such a good point. So, what is it looking like in your store with the kiosks and the pickup? How do you find that impacts your staffing? Like what your employees are doing, how many of them are needed per shift?
Well, we always open up with 3 in the morning, and we always close with three in the afternoon, and then we overlap during the busy times. So 6 a.m. they come in, we're ready at 7, and they get the grills warm, and they get all the food warm, and they make the pimento cheese and the grits and the gravy and so forth, and they get everything loaded and everything ready to go, and then all the desserts and donuts and so forth. And then at 7 o'clock you open the doors, and then your busy period for most rises is like 9 to 11, and then like 11:30 to 1:15, let's say. So you have the lunch crowd, you have the breakfast crowd, and you have a little bit of lull in the middle. And then you clean up, and that's your 2 to 3 time. And usually we're out the door at 3 o'clock, and that's pretty standard day. Weekends extends itself a little bit. We have more people on staff on the weekends. And obviously, the sales warrant the extra staffing. So we'll do 3, 4 people on a weekday, and we'll do somewhere between 5 or 6 on a weekend. And we could do some great numbers with that staffing. We have 2 people on the sandwich, on the line. We have somebody running the grill. We have somebody running the fryers. We have one person on the biscuit station, and we have one person that is on the kiosk. That's pretty typical. Then we have somebody on prep and dishwashing and so forth. So you can run a pretty fast kitchen, and then you could scale back on the weekdays as needed. And that's what I liked about the model as well.
Yeah, it seems very flexible and customizable, especially with, they seem to be giving you the reins a little bit with going doing your drive through and doing your late night. They must really trust you.
Well, I hope I earned their trust. I've put a lot of input into corporate. They have a lot of direction. I like that they listen to the franchisees as well. And I know that a lot of people are components at Fransmart, as well as Brandon, who's our new guy, Brandon King, our new guy at Rise. He's a big proponent of drive-through as well. So I think it makes sense that we take this step. I think everybody's been waiting for everybody else to take this step. So I am like, I'll do it. So I'm going to be the guinea pig, and I think it's going to be a good step. I'm sure there's a lot of hiccups that we're going to hit, a lot of road bumps we're going to hit at the beginning, because we're just not used to it. Our systems are not used to running a drive-through, running a Rise Rewards, running a in-station, customers coming in, running Uber Eats. So now we'll be doing it all. We'll be checking all 4 boxes, and so we'll see if we're like a Chipotle now.
Yeah, and you've been able to keep up, so I have nothing but good wishes for you guys. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit,
Okay.
something that we talked a lot about at the franchisee conference was the influencer marketing, and Rise has been really going hard with that over the past year. So tell me a little bit about that and how that has impacted your store. Are you seeing a positive return on that?
Absolutely. My wife, Marty, runs influencer marketing. You could do it, a manager could do it, an owner could do it, a part-time employee could do it, or you could have someone dedicated to it. So she runs social media, she runs catering, and she runs a lot of the HR and things like that. So social media is so important in new restaurants that are starting up and continuing. And I definitely see a direct correlation between how much social media is put out by us and how big the crowds are. And it's amazing. Every time I'm on the weekends, I say, "How'd you hear about us?" And they go, "Oh, I don't know. I think I saw you on TikTok, or I think I saw you on Instagram, or I was on Yelp, or I was on Google review." And they don't even know where they saw you most of the time, but they know they saw you on their phone, or they saw you online in some way, as opposed to traditional media, where they always were, "Oh, I got something in the mail," or more, I saw it on TV, I heard it on the radio. I mean, that's not the way it works anymore. Our crowds get large, our crowds get younger, our crowds get, they definitely know what they want. If they see something online that we're promoting, seems like that's what they want to buy. And so it's so important that you're doing proper content marketing, that you're doing a 30, 60, 90 type of menu planner, let's say, and you're promoting items that you really want to sell. If we do TikTok, let's say, or we do Instagram or we do Facebook, we get different types of returns. We tend to do quicker videos on TikTok. It's a younger crowd. Facebook is more, a little bit more detailed. And then Instagram seems to be the go-to. So that definitely is probably the most important one. But we've tested Yelp and Google reviews, and I could tell you that we've had them on, we've taken them off, and we put them back on again because we get, especially in Orlando, we get a lot of tourist traffic and people coming out of the airport and they type biscuit in Yelp or Google review, and it's like I had four ladies the other day came in and I said, "How'd you heard about us?" "Oh, we typed in biscuits in on our phone and you came up." So they literally drove from Michigan. They're Michigan. They came in the airport, Orlando airport. They rented a car and they drove right to me. And that's the kind of clientele that we get, that let's say Nashville will get, other locations where they get a lot of tourist traffic. So we tend to feel that those type of platforms are important as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've
absolutely.
got really good ratings. Our downtown location is 4.7 right now, which is just crazy. And we got a 4.4 in Winter Park, which is really good as well. They're both great ratings for our quality and style of food. So
Yeah, for fast casual,
we
that's a
yeah,
very good rating.
yeah, we definitely tend to we hope that we continue to get good ratings, and we don't take it for granted that our customers are always trying to get the best out of us, and we try to accommodate them. So those ratings are well deserved. Thank you.
Yeah, do you think it's part of the Rise company culture to have employees that really want to make a good customer experience and kind of elevate that experience for customers, leading to them leading better reviews? So I know you go to some places, I'm not going to name names, but you go into some fast food places and those employees don't care about anything that you have to do or say or what. But do you think that's something that's more ingrained in the Rise business model?
I do. I think it's two things. It's the Rise business model, and then it's actually the franchisee. The Rise business model, we've always stressed that Tom Ferguson, the founder, has always stressed that that people are the ones that come in the door, not numbers, not they're people. So why are they coming in? Interact with them, try to make a friend today. And when I hire people that are friendly. I hire people that I think will work well together. If I have someone who's a good line cook and has a great resume, but I just get a feel from them that they're not going to fit in as a team member, I will not hire them, no matter how qualified they are. And then I've taken chances on some students, some guys that went to UCF, a couple of students who were just great people, and I said, well, they don't really have the background, but I love who they are. So I love their outlook, I love their work ethic and all that, and we took a chance at them. And not everyone works, but a lot of them have, and I'm happy that we'll be able to train someone and make them a good employee as well. So the team's important, yes, and customer interaction is so important.
Yeah, and you said part of your team is your wife.
Huh?
And so, yeah, tell me, I didn't know that. Tell me a little bit about how now working with your wife, being an entrepreneur, being able to be in control of so many things. How is that different from your past life? Because I believe you were in consulting before, right?
Well, that was the second part of it. Ran a family-owned company, so I've been in family businesses most of my life. Ran a family company where we manufactured paint, different business, manufactured paint and coatings for boats, okay, and gym floors and industrial coatings and so forth. So my dad, he had two partners, bought them out. Long story. We'll save you all the details. And then my brother and myself. My brother was in operations. I was in marketing. 71 employees. I traveled all over the country. Sold the company in 2015. And then I was a consultant for the private equity firm until COVID, and then that was pretty much the end of that. And spent a couple years on my boat. which was really fun. The first year, kind of boring the second year. If anybody loves to work, they understand what I'm saying. The first year is really, really fun because you have zero responsibility. The second year is not as fun because it's like, how many times could you go on a boat and have a chicken sandwich? And it's fun. It's really fun the first year. Second year is not as fun.
There's a
So I was
limit to
looking,
that? I
and what's
wouldn't
that?
think so. There's a limit to that fun? I wouldn't think so.
The first year, there's no limit. The second year, it's. I read a study the other day that said that material goods make you happy for 30 days. Okay, so but you have to. It's the second time you have something. What I mean by that is the first time you buy a car as a teenager, right? You're probably happy for a long time because it's freedom, it's your car, and you wax it and clean it, and it means everything to you, right? But when you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s and you get a car every 3 years, like I do, you get a lease. 30 days, that's a great car, right? Day 31 is transportation. That's all it is. It gets you from A to B. You buy a house. The first house you buy is awesome, right? You love that house. It's your house, right? Second house, not as fun. Third, fourth, fifth. By the time you get to your fifth home, you're moving stuff in. Where's the kitchen? Turn the TV on. You know what I mean? And it's hard to explain unless you've been through the journey. The journey is the reward. And the first time you do something is amazing. And then after that, you need new challenges. And it would be equivalent if someone like you goes from DC and you go to Miami Beach. Right. And the first time you go to Miami Beach, you're going, this is the best place ever. 7 days, you're in the sun, drinks, the whole bit. You do that trip twice a year for the next 5 years, it's not going to be as fun anymore. Okay. You're going to be saying by the third, fourth year, hey, maybe we should go somewhere else. Right. And you will, and you'll end up picking another location. So it's the same thing with business. Business is the same way. I think you need to always have challenges, which keeps it fresh every day. And that's what I think the fun is for me. The fun is the challenge and growing and scaling and as an entrepreneur, that's my challenge. That's my fun.
Right. And then you went into how did you get from that boat business into consulting?
Well, the business got sold to a private equity firm. And then
Okay.
they obviously, when they buy a business, they're financial guys. So they want to make sure that the business that they bought actually can run the next day. So they typically put all the management on consulting agreements and sometimes equity participation in the future. And then that's the second phase. And then the third phase was after my boating experience I just described. I wanted to get something that I wanted to be kind of semi-retired, if that makes sense. I wanted to be active, but I didn't want to work, you know, as many hours as I did in the past. And that's where the 7 to 2 was really appealing as a Rise franchisee. And I actually don't think it's really that much work. I mean, we're over at 2 o'clock and it's like you still have the whole day ahead of you. So I love the hours. So your question before about, how's the night going to feel? We'll see. We'll see if it's going to change my perspective. Right now, 7 to 2 is great. You're done at 2 and the doors close at 2 o'clock and the day's done already. And you still have the whole day ahead of you. So it's a great for an investor, for an entrepreneur, for someone who's looking to purchase something. This might be something you might want to look at for a future investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting off work at 2 o'clock, that sounds great to me. So last time you talked to Nate, you said something that was pretty funny. You said that you always tell people you're either going to open 3 or 30.
Right.
What is your perspective on that
Same.
now, having a couple under your belt?
Same. So what I mean by that is when you open one, your only goal is to open two, right? And then when you open two, your only goal is to open three. Okay. But you got to have your eye on the prize. And the prize is built for me, building out the city of Orlando. And the city of Orlando, I kind of said 30 because it sounds good. 25 to 30 is about where I think we'll have a build out on the city in terms of good locations and not overlapping. Um, and yes, I have that goal. In the back of my mind, as always, is if I build out Orlando and it's successful, why would I stop? Okay. So at that point, who knows? Who knows? You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. And I don't let myself do that. But why wouldn't I go to Tampa at that point? Why wouldn't I go to Jacksonville? Why wouldn't I go to South Florida? It's a big state, right? So, but I'm not getting too far ahead of myself. Each one has to work before you can get to the second one, before you can go to the third one. Because if they don't work, why would 25 work? They get harder to run, not easier. So if you're not running the first, second, third one and they're successful, don't think that things are going to change, that 25 are going to get easier. They're not going to get easier. So you got to have systems in place and good people, and then you can delegate, and you could grow and you could scale, but you got to get through those pain points before you can do that.
Right. And what is your thought about the scalability of Rise as opposed to maybe some other franchise models in the same space?
Okay. You're talking about breakfast, lunch, quick service, casual models.
Not necessarily breakfast and lunch, but just other
Okay.
competitors in the space, like you mentioned, Raising Cane's or,
Yeah, yeah.
quick service
I
lunch food type.
I think that this model can scale very well because it doesn't cost as much to get a unit built, so that's good. It doesn't take up as much square footage. You can open one for 1,500 square feet. That's good. And your return on investment is good because you're not putting as much capital in, so your return is quicker. So that's good. You're closing at 2 o'clock, so you can manage in one shift. That's good. So a lot of these things line up for investor groups who are looking to look at the model and look at the scalability of it. Breakfast is never going out of style. People are going to buy bacon, egg, and cheeses till the day they die, or ham, egg, and cheese, or sausage, egg, and cheese, biscuits. People are never going to stop buying biscuits, and people are going to hopefully will never stop buying chicken sandwiches. If they are, Chick-fil-A's out of business as well, and they're not going anywhere. Definitely the fastest growing category in the last 10 years. With Raising Cane and with Huey Magoo's and with can't name them all, but there's a lot of chicken franchises that have sprung up. And
Hangry Joe's.
what's the name of that?
Do they have Hangry Joe's out by you?
No, no.
Oh, that's something huge around here, and they have these crazy, crazy hot chicken sandwiches.
Okay, so there's Dave's Hot Chicken. That's another one came to
Very
mind.
similar.
So Dave's Hot Chicken is, they just go with the extra spice. So that's another one. So yeah, there's a lot of chains out there, and every one of them is growing. So the category is good. And people always ask me, do you think long term this is going to be a good model? And I go, well, when people stop eating biscuits and they stop eating chicken, then I'll start being worried. But right now, they're not stopping either one. So I think the category is a good one.
It's going to be around, not going anywhere anytime soon. That's for sure.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
So, is there a time in the last year of you operating? So, how long exactly have you been operating since you opened your first location?
So August of 23, I spent the whole 8 months before that getting the location, getting the permits, constructing the site, and so forth. All opened in August, and now we're coming up, soon, August of 25. So that'll be 2 full years. It's gone a long time, and it's gone quick. Long time because if you're thinking about building in January of 23, I was thinking about buying it a year before that. So you're already like that first location is like a year of thinking about doing it, and then a year of doing it, and then 2 years of running it. So it's almost like in your brain, it's been a 4 year endeavor, even though it's only been open two. But it'll accelerate because all the new ones, obviously, they go quicker because you don't have that 2 year padding. It's basically just one after another now, so they go quicker.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, once you've got one under your belt, it's a lot easier to move
yeah.
forward.
The first one as a businessman, you don't even know what you don't know. Okay. And you don't know the answer. You don't even know the question. Okay. The second location, you know the question, you know the answer. By the time you do the third one, you really feel like you're dialed in, and you're really because so the manager on one is doing something different than the manager on two, or the way it's cleaned, or the way the food's being cooked, or the reviews. So you got comparisons, and that allows you to have more learning, and you see things a lot quicker, and you're able to identify problems quicker, successes quicker. That's key. That's key.
Yes, that's a very good point. Thinking about where you are now and remembering your journey that led you up to buying Rise in the year of thinking about it, is there any moment that comes to mind when you think of the past 2 years that reminded you of why you wanted to join the Rise franchisee family in the first place?
Say again, any
Any
moment?
moment that comes to mind of running your stores over the past couple of years that's like, this is why I did this. This is why I chose
Well,
Rise.
I think it comes back to family for me. So you might be there on a Saturday. So Luke is there, and my wife comes in, and I'm there. And let's say my daughter, who works for Disney right now, but is part of the team, she stops by, and customers are coming in, and people are happy, and they're thanking us for the food, and we thank them for coming in, and we're always good at giving a little kid a free donut or something, and they're happy, and the parents are happy. So that's the fun. That's the fun part of the business, is you get to interact with people at the end of the day, and I love that part of it. And I think most people who are social people, they'll tell you that the interactions are what they remember. They don't remember, um, the good and the bad of, let's say, what's happening in the kitchen. They remember the interactions with the customers, and of course, the interactions with the team members. That's always key. You're kind of a family at that point. We've had people that have had successes, and we've celebrated them, and then we've had people that have had problems, and we've helped them out, both financially, family, whatever, and we're there, and any family goes through the good and bad, and so now I've got 20 family members, 10 in each restaurant, so I got 20 more family members that I have to take care of, and I'm good with that. A big extended family is fun.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. The idea of just having a big Rise family. I love your picture from your opening is one of my favorites because you're there with your team and your family, and everybody looks so happy, so excited and pumped up. I just love that. And I'm sure that was a really fun event too.
So fun, and we, like you said, we cut the ribbon. It was 6 a.m. and at dark, and everybody's just hyped up because you're spending 4 or 5 months trying to get the location open, and then when it finally that day actually shows up, because you've been training a week or two before you actually open, and now all of a sudden you cut the ribbon and customers are waiting, and they start spinning the wheel to win free food and shirts and stuff, and it becomes a big fun event. The anticipation is 90% of it, and then obviously the day comes, and uh, it's a rewarding time when you could just kind of sit back and open the doors. It's a good point in your memory for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a labor of love that ends up being worth it.
Absolutely. Definitely.
All right, so I have one last question for you. What would you say to somebody who's currently considering a Rise franchise?
Well, I would say to do your due diligence. So the first thing you would do is you fill out a form online, let's say, and that's the way I did it, and you then go to Discovery Day. And Discovery Day, you'll go to Raleigh, and Raleigh, you'll meet the owners, and they'll take you around like 5 stores, and you'll see the different types of stores, and you'll meet the employees, and you'll see the customers, and you'll try the food, and you'll ask all your questions. And then at that point, you'll get the franchise agreement, and you'll come back and you'll digest that, and you'll have a million questions. And at that point, you'll get your questions answered one by one. And hopefully, most of them you like the answers to. And then at that point, there comes a point where you're just going to have to make a decision if this is something that fits into your lifestyle, if this is something that fits into your career goals. You have to project maybe 5 or 10 years. Is this something you want to be doing 5 or 10 years from now? Because it's not an overnight success. It takes work. So if you see yourself 5 or 10 years still kind of doing this and being happy, this might be a good fit. But if you don't, maybe you might want to continue to look at something else. So when all those questions were answered for me, I could tell you that. Remember, I just said to you, I don't even know the question, let alone the answer. I had a good comfort level. I had a good comfort level with the team. I had a good comfort level with the concept. Do I know all the facts? No, I didn't know all the facts, but I felt I knew 50%, and I would figure out the other 50% on the job training. And that's how every business I've ever been in. That's how it works. If you analyze anything to death, usually the opportunity passes you by. So you kind of jump in. You jump in after you got a good comfort level. As you get older, your gut feel is probably more important than even your brain, in terms of you're doing all your pluses and minuses and your Excel spreadsheets and all that. It's a gut feel. After a while, you're just basically saying, you know what, I got a good feel for this, or it doesn't feel right. And if it feels right, you should probably think about doing it. And if it doesn't feel right, you should probably not. And you're going to get that feeling one way or another. And I got a good feel for it, and we decided to jump in, and it was a really good decision for us.
Very wise words, absolutely. If it feels right, don't let the opportunity pass. So, what was it that you think you have, or what is it about your personality when you thought, yes, this is what I want to do 5, 10 years down the road? This is my next step.
A lot of it we've talked about, but the first step was: is there something that we can understand, we can afford, we can monetize, and we can grow? Okay, so can we do it as a family? Yes. Can we get in with the dollars we have? Yes. Can we run this thing? Pretty easy to run. Yes. Can we scale it? Yes. Is it a people business? Yes. Do we like the hours and the type of work it is? Yes. So when you start checking all those things, then of course your personality gets in. That's the social media component, or that's catering, or that's things that you're doing. You're interacting with your customer base, your grand openings, and a lot of your marketing, and a lot of things that you're on. Charity work. You're doing a lot of outreach, and all that's part of your personality, and what you want to achieve, and what you like and dislike, and so forth. Yeah. So it checked a lot of boxes for us. There's always negatives. I mean, negatives are people call out, and it's life. Sometimes you have good sales weeks. Some weeks you don't. Okay, why? You question why, and sometimes it's just seasonality, and it obviously makes more sense when you look year over year and you say, oh, this week last year we weren't as busy. The first week of June, let's say. So going in that if you have a slow week, well, it's probably just seasonality, right? But other than that, I mean, you have issues with kitchen equipment. It's life. Kitchen equipment breaks. You have to fix it. Air conditioning freezes up. You got to get the AC guy out there. But those are all expected. If you're going to run a business, you're going to expect that you're going to have some issues, and you just deal with them and you move on. So definitely the positives way outweigh the negatives. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Don. You gave some really great insights. I loved hearing about how things have been going for you. So, yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And I'm very excited to see what the next 5, 10 years has in store for you, and the next upcoming location with your
Yeah.
drive-through and the extended hours. That is
Yeah,
very
let's
exciting.
let's schedule another one of these calls in 6 months to a year, and we'll have a lot of feedback on the third location, as well as the drive-through, as well as future locations we've either going to open or have open. So we'll have some more information for you.
That sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Samantha. Appreciate it.